Hurricane Milton's eye is currently passing just 40 miles south of me, and this is what it sounds like against my door here in South Tampa. Let me show you exactly where I am relative to the eye by looking at the map. I've got the wind stream turned on so you can see where the eye is circulating the winds. Category 3 currently hitting right here in Sarasota. The early part of the eye wall is landfalling in Sarasota. I live right underneath this negative 1.23. That's the storm gauge, or I should say the water gauge that's measuring the storm surge. Because this wind is sucking this direction, it's pulling the water out of Tampa Bay, creating a negative storm surge in Tampa Bay. Let me just turn off this rain radar layer so you can see the water is the gray area of Tampa Bay, and all the water is getting sucked out. It's getting sucked out more from the top end where my gauge is than at the mouth here in St. Petersburg and here down in north kind of Bradenton area. But right now, the most intense winds are right around the eye wall. And even though I'm only 40 miles away, I have much less winds. I can monitor my winds by looking at my tide gauge, NOAA. This is the official NOAA website for tides and currents. This is the Old Port Tampa storm gauge or water gauge that is right at the end of the dock of a park that's at the end of my road. It's only maybe 2 miles from here. Here's where you can see the negative storm surge happening from where the tide should be at the blue level versus where the water actually is currently at the red level. This chart here is the winds. We have now surpassed the record wind gust we had from Helene, which was 57 knots. What you're hearing now at my door is 62 knots. Although not technically at my door, obviously this gauge is right on the open dock, like unobstructed, nothing blocking the wind. So this is picking up the full force of the wind here at that location. But just when I started filming this, the record was like 59. So 59 knots is like 68 miles per hour. So this is not quite hurricane force winds. To get even just a category 1 hurricane wind, I have to Google it. Let's see. Category 1 winds start at 74. So I am almost there and probably will reach this. So even though the eye of the storm is a category 3, what is hitting me is not yet a category 1. It might get there, and it probably will. According to my forecast chart here for my nearest weather gauge, I should have a max 74 mile an hour wind, and that shouldn't be coming until like 10 or 11 p.m. If you see that time at the top of the chart there, this is an hour by hour graph. And you can find this for yourself on this website. Just make sure you get your nearest weather station. Mine is the Gandy station, which is at the bridge. Where's my map? There's my map. The Gandy Bridge is just above the 4 in this number, and I live pretty much just under the 2. It's a very close weather gauge. Both of these two things, the storm surge water gauge and that weather gauge, are super close to me, so they're highly accurate for my specific location. And that's how I know that I'm not getting category 3 wind and I'm not getting any storm surge here. The people that are getting the storm surge, you can see the water's getting sucked out and then bam, up against this coast. So these people are getting the storm surge, but there isn't a gauge here. The nearest gauge is up here in Fort Myers, so you can see they have 4.4 feet of storm surge at this moment, and it can increase as the storm passes by because the storm surge is a bit delayed from when the eye comes through because of all this wind here pushing it. Just gonna push it all against that coast down here. That's why it was so important for Tampa to be on the north side of the eye, so it sucks the water out away from us, but unfortunately, of course, pushes it somewhere else. So now you can hear what has been going on the whole time I've been talking. It comes in waves, so it's not constant, it's quiet right now. But then any second, you get a few seconds of rain just pounding the door. just like that. And that's like the 70-mile-an-hour winds. I just felt the building move a little. Oh, again. And again. It's so rare for my door to get rain pounding directly on it. It's winds coming from a very unusual angle, of course, being on the north side of a hurricane. These winds are coming out of the east as the storm rotates counterclockwise. So that's the update for now. Stay tuned for more.